Hi friends, my name is Nishanta. I'm a dyslexic science teacher. I teach here in Southern California. In this video, we're going to be answering the question, is it harder to learn as a dyslexic? So in order to answer that question, we have to think about how people learn in general. So learning is a big topic and there's a lot of factors that go into figuring out how people learn things. But there is a universal process that pretty much every single human goes through, and that's the biomechanics of it, like the exact biology of how your brains wire together, and then those wires become stronger. So let's just kind of think about that, and then we'll come back to how that process affects dyslexics and how dyslexics process information in the first place. So let's say that you're a skateboarder and you're trying to learn a new skateboarding trick, like a kickflip or something. Now, when you first learn the kickflip, before you learn it, you probably watch other people and you probably get some tips, and maybe you look at some videos, or maybe you'll get some coaching on how to do that trick. Now you'll take all that information and then you will try to coordinate your muscles with your nerves and your brain and the timing, and then you will try to land that trick. Most likely you're probably not going to land it the first time, and you're probably going to fail, and then from that failure you're probably going to learn something. And then the more you fail and the more attempts you get at it, the closer your brain's going to get at wiring all of that circuit of information together for you to be able to land a kickflip. So the first time you land a kickflip, that circuit, all those neurons, because your brain's made of like billions and billions of neurons, though, there's going to be a circuit of neurons that are going to be clicking together into place. And the first time you land it, you're going to be like feeling really good because all of your muscles and your neurons and your brain work together to like click that thing into place, and you kind of learn that new trick. Once you land that kickflip, you're not done, right? I mean, the next time you do it, you're probably going to make a mistake. You're probably not going to land it again. That's because the wiring inside your brain isn't like completely stable. That circuit in your brain isn't fully formed. It's not like a permanent circuit. Your brain is still trying to learn this thing. It's called neuroplasticity. So your brain is still trying to figure out if it's the right thing. But the more times you land it, the more times you properly do this trick over and over again, those wires and those connections are going to become more and more permanent until you can just kind of do it very easily. Now, this process of this circuit becoming stronger and more connected and more efficient is called the process of myelination. I don't want to get into the mechanics of myelination in this video. I might cover it in another video, but if you're really interested and you want to learn more about it, there's a great book called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle, and it kind of goes over exactly how people learn things. It's a really good book. I really recommend you guys check that out. Okay, so now that we kind of understand how people in general learn things, let's think about how that applies to dyslexics. Okay, so there is a few minor differences and one major difference between a neurotypical brain and a dyslexic brain. For this video, I just want to talk about the major difference, and that major difference is related to how dyslexic brains process information differently than neurologically typical brains or normal brains. So normal brains are really good at solving fine, detailed, oriented tasks like reading and doing math problems, things like that. And the reason why they do that is we have these things called mini columns in our head, and these mini columns connect different brain areas together. And normal brains have a preference to create short but very efficient circuits, so when they're solving a problem, they can really focus in on that problem alone and solve it very efficiently. Whereas dyslexic brains, they form circuits that involve more brain like regions. So like when they're trying to read something, they might not just use the reading part of their brain, they might also use like a visual part, an emotional part. There's different parts of the brain that's not normally involved in the normal brain's way of solving this problem of reading. So what happens is the normal brain is really efficient, whereas the dyslexic brain, when they're trying to read something, is much less efficient. So they get tired more, they can make more mistakes, and they learn that fine detail oriented tasks a lot slower than a normal brain. So all these different things happen as a result of the type of circuit that these different types of brains have. So when it comes to learning and solving broader, more complex problems, dyslexics brains are much more efficient at doing that because we naturally tend to form connections all around our brain. So when it comes to fine, detailed, oriented tasks like reading, a dyslexic brain is going to have a harder time mastering that. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to do it. It just means that they will need to take more attempts. Just like when you're skateboarding, some people need to take more attempts in order to master a trick. But when it comes to broad, complex skills like art, entrepreneurship, design, things like that, where it's not just a simple thing, dyslexic brains are going to be much more efficient at doing that. So they're going to need less reps in order to learn those things. So to come back to the question, is it harder to learn as a dyslexic? It really depends on what you're trying to learn. If you're trying to learn something that is a fine detail oriented task, well, yes, it's going to take you a lot more reps. But if it's something that is more complex and more broad and something that generally requires creativity and thinking outside the box, these kind of things, it comes much easier for dyslexics. We're able to learn those a lot faster because our brains are already wired to be able to make connections and think more broadly in the first place. All right, friends, I hope that answered that question. If you guys have any comments, leave them below. I'll answer them as soon as I see them. Also, tell me about your experiences of learning fine, detailed oriented tasks versus complex, broad tasks. Have you experienced it? If you're dyslexic, I think you have. So let me know, let everyone know what's going on. Also, I have a quiz. You can take that quiz. It's about your dyslexic strengths. There's 4 of them. Depending on which one you get, you can lean into them. So check out the quiz, and that way you can get an idea of your dyslexic advantage, your dyslexic strengths. All right, everybody. I'll see you next time.